When we think about the success of crypto, it is typically measured in one thing. That one thing is price action. If Bitcoin is trading at new all-time highs, if altcoins are trading at new all-time highs, crypto must be a big success, right? And I think that this is where almost everyone is getting the big picture wrong. Because again, these aren't stocks. Like when we think about stocks, obviously, we look at stocks, and if there's a good financial report and if revenue is looking very good, their product is selling, then obviously the price of the stock is going up. And I think that this is how everyone views crypto as well. They think, well, if all this good news is happening, why isn't the price action going up? And the issue with crypto right now is that, well, we're still tied back to Bitcoin. We're still tied back to hype and speculation. But that is changing. And I feel as if almost every single thing that we are seeing from major players, even like the CFTC, we're starting to see that shift happen in real time from a hype and speculative sort of market to a much more mature and serious market. And that is exactly what I want to talk about in this video, because what the CFTC just announced is huge for crypto. But first, let's talk about XRP slightly. Mainly, I just want to address price action in the market. Earlier today, I was talking about HBAR, I was talking about Bitcoin. Looking at this on like the 24-hour view or even on the 1 week, things don't look as though they're improving at all, right? But if we look at the 4-hour view here on XRP, we can see that we are trading in an uptrend. Now, XRP could easily still retest this trend. And that would be right around roughly like $2.03 or so. Might even have a wick below it, just like we saw on the 21st. However, we are in an uptrend right now. We do have higher lows. I would love for this to be maintained. And then the main thing that we're looking at is a new higher high. That way we create bullish structure. And again, when we think about XRP selling off or, the price action isn't looking all that well, guess what? That means that XRP must be a failure, right? XRP is a trash coin. XRP, isn't doing anything. It's just selling off. But this is it's such a terrible way to view, success or failure in this market. Because again, we have yet to hit the utilization phase of crypto. But we are building a path towards that. Now, I want to go over a few things. Let's first start off with the major shift happening around legislation. Because again, the market is looking very good. I do think that we are starting to improve. I think that we're starting to, bounce back. We obviously still want to focus on lower time frame structure for it to continue to flip bullish. We need to have those higher highs. But I think that, so far the month of December has been starting off with a pretty good view of where we're headed. I think that we're starting to recover. And of course, with liquidity improving, that's definitely going to help. Now, the biggest thing is, of course, what's happening around legislation, because on December 3rd, we got a big update from Eleanor Tourette talking about at a crypto-themed Christmas bash Tuesday, Tim Scott floated 2 dates for when banking GOP might hold a markup of its market structure text and shared where they stand on votes. Now, it seems as though we're not getting market structure in 2025. It feels as though it's getting pushed into 2026, especially with vacation and with holidays and things like that. However, there is a realistic path to having a markup on December the 17th or the 18th in a committee with the votes to get it done. I believe we have 13 Republican votes. There are 2 or 3 already on the Democrat side who say they're a yes. So again, it would be right in time for, members set to go out of town for the holidays on the 18th. This would be marked up by that point. And then going into 2026, it seems as though we can get this fully addressed and signed into law. So clarity could become a realistic thing in Q1 of 2026, which was always my view anyways on this, because with the shutdown and things like that, with all the delays, I figured we were going into 2026 anyways with this. But this is definitely a big one to focus on. Now, talking about clarity and talking about the big regulators in the room. The SEC, Paul Atkins. Back in September, we got an update from Paul Atkins talking about the harmonization of the CFTC and the SEC on regulatory harmonization. Essentially, these two coming together and working on crypto, legislation and regulatory moves. This is something that we've floated around for a while. Since going all the way back to the SEC lawsuit with Ripple, we've always talked about at some point in time, I don't think that the SEC is going to be the main show. I think that we're going to see the CFTC and the SEC work together. In fact, everyone was asking for these two players to come together and work on legislation with CEOs from the space. Now, we do know back in the summer, the CFTC said that they were looking at comments from major CEOs in the space for, a good sort of guideline, if you will, to proper regulations for crypto. And I think that that's the best way to go about this, because that ensures that innovation continues to thrive. And of course, nothing is held up, and we could have the space operating in a regulated way, but in a very efficient way. Well, since then, we've started to see a big shift in the regulatory side of things, as well as the legislation side of things. But the CFTC is 100% a big focus here. But so is the SEC. On the 2nd, we got a big update from Paul Atkins. He said that the agency has enough authority to advance crypto regulation without waiting for Congress and plans to unveil an innovation exemption for digital asset projects within a month. This is going to be big. And again, this is also showing us that the SEC is committed to making sure that crypto thrives. On top of this, we just heard from Paul Atkins on Fox Business. Here we have tokenization isn't coming, it's here. Paul Atkins, SEC chair, just went on Fox Business and called tokenization the way the world will be. Not in 10 years, but maybe in just a couple. After years of the SEC standing in the way of innovation, he's now saying regulators must embrace it to keep the US at the forefront of global markets. The quiet part was just said out loud. The modernization of markets isn't optional. It's key to survival. Big shout to Cryptos R Us for this. Check it out.
Do you expect this is where financial services is going? Are the major banks and the brokers out there today moving increasingly toward tokenization?
Oh, absolutely. And it's the way the world will be, here in the, maybe not even in 10 years, maybe even a lot less time, maybe a couple of years from now. So I think that all of this modernization of the markets, I think, is good. And the trouble that we've seen here over the past few years is that the SEC, unlike historically, it never was necessarily at the vanguard of pushing new innovations. It was always a little bit behind the market, of course. But here recently, it's been almost standing athwart the marketplace, and as it's as all these new innovations were coming about. So that's no more. We're actually embracing it, and I believe that we need to be embracing it to keep the United States at the forefront.
So yeah, listen, tokenization is obviously like a huge focus from every single regulator, but also from every single TradFi giant. If you can name a big name, Citi, Bank of America, JP Morgan, even organizations like the DTCC, or even the IMF, or even SWIFT, they're all talking about tokenization. That's because it is the future. Now, obviously, this is from Paul Atkins. What about the CFTC? What did they announce? Well, here we have. CFTC fam announces first ever listed spot crypto trading on US regulated exchanges. This is the CFTC unlocking the door for some of the biggest players to enter the crypto space. Here we have from Caroline DFAM, you can now trade listed spot crypto on CFTC exchanges. We are working smarter and faster to protect Americans who deserve safe US markets, not offshore exchanges. Here we have the announcement. Federally regulated spot crypto markets open a new golden age for innovation in America. CFTC acting chairman today announced that listed spot cryptocurrency products will begin trading for the first time in U.S. federally regulated markets on the CFTC registered futures exchanges. we have down here, the CFTC has a rich history of welcoming responsible innovation on futures exchanges by rebalancing regulatory flexibility with core principles that safeguard both institutional and retail traders. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, this administration has developed a comprehensive all-of-government plan for America to reclaim its place as the world leader in digital asset markets, and the CFTC has a central role to play. Recent events on offshore exchanges have shown us how essential it is for Americans to have more choice and access to safe, regulated U.S. markets. Now, for the first time ever, spot crypto can trade on CFTC-registered exchanges that have been the gold standard for nearly 100 years, with the customer protections and market integrity that Americans deserve. 15 years ago, Congress passed important reforms to strengthen U.S. markets after the great financial crisis, including the requirement that leveraged retail commodity trading can only occur on futures exchanges. But the CFTC never implemented this critical customer protection reform by providing regulatory clarity on how to list these retail exchange-traded products, despite years of market demand. Instead, the CFTC chose regulation by enforcement rather than making clear rules of the road, resulting in huge fines that targeted the crypto industry but did not protect the retail public by giving them a safe place to trade. Under my leadership this year, the CFTC is finally using our decades-long existing authority to work smarter and faster to protect Americans who deserve safe U.S. markets now, not offshore exchanges that lack basic safeguards against uncontrolled customer losses. This historic milestone implements recommendations from the President's Working Group on Digital Asset Markets, with months of public engagement and the expert input of stakeholders, CFTC staff, and other regulators. Guys, I am so excited about this. The best part about this is that we are seeing a full list of all of the working groups. Most of these working groups are with the SEC and the CFTC side by side. This is a huge update, and it just opened up the floodgates. We have over here from Quentin, the CFTC changed everything. Yes, you could already buy Bitcoin's ETFs like iBit on regulated exchanges, but the Bitcoin inside those ETFs still comes from unregulated crypto markets. This new CFTC decision is different. For the first time ever, spot crypto itself can trade on fully regulated US exchanges like CME, CBOE, or NASDAQ. This means spot crypto trades on the same regulated venues as S&P futures, oil, gold, FX. Institutions can trade actual crypto, not just an ETF. Banks and pensions that were legally blocked can now participate. The underlying market becomes federally regulated. Crypto gets integrated into the financial system of the US, not just wrapped around it. This just unlocked so much capital. This just opened up the floodgates. The CFTC has been very bullish on crypto, but this takes it to a completely different level. And for those that missed just how bullish Caroline D. Pham has been on crypto, listen closely to this video from September 30th. With the NASDAQ and the CFTC, they are partnering to modernize oversight of today's fast-moving complex markets. By adopting NASDAQ's market surveillance platform, the CFTC is strengthening market integrity and staying ahead of emerging risk. Acting Chairman Caroline D. Pham shares how modern technology helps future-proof regulation in a changing landscape. Check this out.
It's never been more important for the CFTC to be a 21st century regulator as we tackle innovative new products and markets like crypto assets and prediction markets. We need to have a best-in-class, industry-leading market surveillance system. This is something that I worked on in the private sector. This is something that's so important for the CFTC. So by implementing NASDAQ market surveillance, we are bringing in a fully automated solution that can do cross-market analytics, that can generate dashboards for us to be able to monitor many different markets and products at the same time, and to do transaction-level analysis. So what this signals for the CFTC to modernize, to embrace new types of technology like NASDAQ market surveillance and adopt other new technology tools is that we are really going to be a forward-looking regulator that is really trying to future-proof our mission so that we are able to scale and adapt to no matter what new markets or new products are being launched. I really feel that the CFTC is going to be in the best place possible to handle anything new that comes at us.
So again, this is, I mean, just in the last couple months, we have been witnessing these regulators go from hostile names to some of the most bullish players around crypto. Everything has changed. The CFTC just did the unthinkable. This is just the start, though. Crypto is becoming extremely successful in the sense that it is now getting fully embraced in the US financial system. I get it. We're looking at price action. Everyone is looking at price action, and this is what determines if a project is successful or not. However, take a step back and realize how things are changing. In just a couple months, we have watched as the CFTC and the SEC have worked together to make some of the largest moves possible with crypto. And we're still just at the starting point. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.